sports where the takes don't miss. The prof with the stats, the champ with the fist. Swore to bringing fire, cowboy tie riding bold. Bulls calling bets, watch the stories unfold. And it's truly eyebrows running the show. It's high top sports, baby.
Let's get it, let's go. Good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here at High Top Sports. Another show, yeah, we're rocking and rolling here, boys and girls. The Ole Miss on timeline, their fan base, their message boards, whatever you want to call it, had a meltdown today. It was as if the door finally opened and they're like, hey, I'm out. And it was only a matter of time between a fan base broke, right? Which fan base was going to crumble under the pressure first of all the noise? You had everything is coming to a head here. We talked about it last night with Stephen Wilson, or Williams, I don't remember, from Locked On Ole Miss. Shout out to him again for coming on the show. And again, you saw his aura, what was just oozing out of the confidence that he felt that it was impossible that it could happen. A big thing that really set with me that he said last night that just made zero absolute sense, that if Lane Kiffin is on a playoff run, that he wouldn't sign an extension. He would just let it ride. Which, in that sense, he's thinking he's going to screw Florida over. But on the flip side, let's play that game. What if he ends up January 15th choosing Florida? Then Ole Miss is screwed. Both schools have to navigate and operate this in a professional manner. And Ole Miss can't count on a handshake, just like Florida can't count on a handshake. So it hit me after the fact. We did talk about it a little bit, but it was just kind of blasphemy that was the thought process that he wouldn't sign it, because I just don't see that to be true whatsoever. Boys, when I tell you, they're like, listen, I've had my thoughts on this, and welcome to the show. This is going to be a little sporadic. We're going to talk about a few things, read some message boards, see where this thing really got going. Some Ole Miss insiders, the beat writers. We're going to play a clip from Ben Garrett, he's on the On3 side of things, where these guys are starting to, I think they're asking around, and it's not lining up with their wishes, if you will. And I think I've been pretty clear on my feelings of this, right? I've been in this world long enough to not really feel too comfortable in this scenario. Maybe it's the recruiting part that I deal with. But the confidence that Solder has poised this entire time, Dan Thompson's come on our show and has had much confidence. I've loved it. I felt very confident. But I still, if you would have asked me yesterday about a percentage, right, on where I felt, to be quite honest with you, probably 45%. Well, why, Sheldon? You just told me all these people were very confident. Well, it's because I think maybe it was just more of a gunshot kind of thing. And I'm just reading the room of how he's kind of navigating. It's like, for everything that pushes like why Florida makes sense, I can argue with why Ole Miss makes sense. And honestly, again, it's the timeline that was really throwing me for a loop. And it still is. It still is. But heard some things, read some things, saw some things, spoke to some people today. And my confidence has moved. I hate to be here. I hate to be here because I'm telling you, when that locomotive, when that locomotive is going about $1.90 that way, okay? If it hits a wall, it's going to hurt. If it hits a wall, it's going to hurt. But we're here. We're here. And, man, I'm telling you right now, boys and girls, this thing, I don't think we're prepared for what could be taking place here. There seems to be some shambles in the work. And, again, it started with the Ole Miss stuff. This all kind of started from the Ole Miss side breaking down today, okay? Let's read some stuff. Let's start there. Let's break this thing down. Allie will join us here. Let me make sure she's not waiting on me or anything. So the first one is this big one here. Let's read this one first from Neil McCready, I think, staff member. So again, much more reliable than just somebody saying this. I guess they asked him a question. I feel bad asking you this because it's not fair and it has 50% of chance of being unfairly held over your head later. And I respect that because I think a lot of people they shoot the messenger in this world. I've been a part of that. But if you had to make a bet today with no caveats and no percentages, will Lane be the Ole Miss next season? I guess that isn't cut and dried and that things can change. But from where you sit now, what do you think? And he goes, yeah, in an ideal world, I would be able to put a lot of caveats on this, and I think it's fluid and could change in multiple ways over the rest of the 16 days or so. But if you made me bet today, right now, at this very moment, my answer to your question would be no. That he would not be the head coach at Ole Miss next season. That was his response. Now, I have another one. From Neil as well. Uno momento, please. I don't know where this is from. So I don't want to read this not knowing where it's from. Because I want to make sure that I want to make sure there's as much credibility as possible. So we're gonna ignore that one for now, and pull this one up, and I'll message Dave and see where that came from and see if we can read that. 420 people in here, guys. We are like literally 5 away from 28,000, and we've got to really get this engine moving if we want to hit 30 by the end of the year. So if you guys are liking what you're seeing, we'd appreciate it. This is just someone on the message board. And again, this is where the cracks are starting to fall through, okay? Keep Pete and as much as the staff as you can, hire an elite offensive mind and focus on high school recruiting. Guys who actually sell around the stadium size and tradition. Lane over values. As long as we remain competitive with NIL, I don't think there will be a drop-off. Lane is lazy. He's one of the He is the one responsible for average high school recruiting, not anyone else. He wanted the easy path with the portal and handing out checks. We jumped ahead in NIL early, and it was fool's gold. It was obvious we weren't going to hand out the largest checks forever. The portal is getting more expensive and challenging. High school recruiting will matter more and more moving forward, and Lane believes it will be easier somewhere else. He thinks those programs will sell themselves. He's wrong. When Lane gives his answer the other day, the writing was on the wall. He is too lazy to sell around the stadiums and tradition labels. He's a weak salesman. Hire Jeff Lebby and keep Pete, and let's go. P.S. Blast away. I do not care. Now, the truth's starting to come out, and I would say that Steven kind of alluded to that yesterday. And Lane said this in his presser. You're 2 or 3 games away from not being wanted at your current job. And so a lot of the things that I heard of this whole time during this process was, why leave Ole Miss? Why leave Ole Miss where you could build a legacy, where you're appreciated for winning 10 and 11 football games, where they'll build an entire statue around you by just winning 10 to 11 games? They're okay with that. They're happy there. Well, we also heard Steven yesterday say if they were to lose to Florida, which would eliminate their playoff chances, or at least put them in danger of losing, that the question marks, they would circle the wagon of like, can he win the big ones? So is he really safe winning just 10 to 11 games there? Eventually, it becomes Mark Richt to them. So as much as they say they love him, there's that weird pit inside that they're trying to overcome because they've been frustrated with Lane. They've had the reasons, as anybody would in any relationship if he were to come through here. Some telltale signs here that I do agree with, though. I do believe that the portal won't be what it was like kind of these last 2 years. You're going to have to get very analytical, very smart, spend very heavily because we've seen guys have success when leaving out of the portal. And recruiting is just going to become more valuable like it always has been. It kind of, you thought you could avoid it for a year or two. And I believe that's true. And that's something we've always alluded to here at Florida, where you could just hop in your truck, drive 30 minutes, and you've got 10 5-stars in your back pocket. And it's not about being lazy. It's literally what we had a guy calling this morning talking about, like, dude, you're driving an hour one way to meet one guy that could make a difference at Ole Miss. I mean, you're constantly traveling. And as you are in this world, you're going to have to continue to do that. But we all know Florida obviously plays a much bigger role in that scenario. Here is another clip. This is from Ben Garrett, Ole Miss. And again, I respect what these guys are doing. I think they're doing the best that they can and because I know from talking with Keith, from talking with Zach, from Zach Alberverdi and Zach Goodall, is they sometimes feel like crap having to tell you what they feel and what they actually think is going to happen because they get flack for it. Like as if they're the ones making the decisions. So these guys are afraid to tell you how they're feeling because, the fan base gets pissed at them. They take it out on these guys. So I'm saying that because I think he's trying to tell how he's feeling, but not necessarily lay it on the table so he doesn't get wally-whopped. Take a listen.
Is as far as his career and his stature within this sport and within this culture. Florida, because of the other stuff that was already a threat to begin with, makes it that much more appealing for him, even more so than even in Auburn. That's why I've been saying, hey, look, I don't know what he's going to do. Here's the harsh reality, folks. None of us know what he's going to do. None of us, Keith, me, anybody, none of us know what he's going to do. But for my best, from everyone I talk to, however you value that, which if you don't value it at all, more power to you. But for those that do, everything I'm hearing, man, is it's either going to be the Ole Miss extension or he's going to go to Florida. And, for me, I've been saying it's nothing better than a coin flip consistently for a week, 2 weeks. I don't know, man, all the days run together. You know this. But more and more, I was feeling as if, while a coin flip ultimately with the timeline and the college football playoff coming up and how that's going to affect these kind of timelines and the portal opened up in January, as long as Ole Miss kept winning, I really believe it was going to be pretty much impossible for him to not sign the extension ultimately. And I know he has a real pull to stay here. That's not the issue. It's not like, I want Florida over Ole Miss. It's just the uniqueness of the opportunity. And you're talking about a nomadic person who didn't learn to stop moving and be where his feet are until Ole Miss, right? Like Ole Miss is far and away the place he stayed at the absolute longest. And he's like, I could go through all the stuff that you already know about the family here, about the unique autonomy that he is allowed at Ole Miss that he wouldn't get at Florida or LSU. You can say he would, but he wouldn't. Y'all have to come see it. Maybe some of y'all will come into town and see for yourself. Like the entire operation belongs to him, and there's nothing that Ole Miss won't give him. There's only a few chefs in the kitchen, while at Florida, it's a circus of chefs in the kitchen. But I've been consistent saying that I think it's a coin flip, Ole Miss or Florida, and that ultimately he'll sign the Ole Miss extension. Now, I don't know. I think it's more of a coin flip than it's ever been before. And quite frankly, I was asked today on my website, the Ole Miss Spirit, OleMissSpirit.com, at affiliate of On 3. Sign up today for just $1, Florida fan, if you want to see every single day what we start to talk
about. Get that plug in, brother.
Get that plug in, bro. I'm a pros pro.
Well done.
Like he is operating, in my opinion. This isn't based on what I mean, but I've talked to a lot of people, and this is all I get asked about all day, every day, both in an official capacity, unofficial capacity, going to church, going down the road to get something to eat. And I honestly believe he is operating like a man who's setting himself up to leave. That's what it feels like right now. But
first of all, this guy's an absolute G. Ben Garrett's, well-spoken guy, delivered that thing like an absolute champ. I'd love to have that guy on. That guy is a pro's pro, like he said. Well done. That guy needs to get out of Ole Miss and get himself in some real-time thing because he is an absolute killer. Maybe we need to start Ole Miss High Top. I love that guy. That guy would be a blast to talk to, if you will. But I said this last night, and he said it again. You heard him say that he feels that like it looks like this guy's setting all of his, his things up to skedaddle on out of here. But the thing that I keep reverting back to, we're Ole Miss fans. They're doubling down. The line's moved. The line was that Ole Miss is the better job. That was the first line, and we laughed him off like we didn't even let him sit at our table. Like, okay, cool, that's cute, right? Now the line's moved. It's not that it's the better job anymore. I do agree that he's got great situations and set up at Ole Miss, and I do believe the autonomy that he has at Ole Miss is much greater than it would be at Florida. That's been a thing that I've been concerned about, and myself. But we keep talking about the timeline being the factor. We keep talking about the playoffs being the issue. Not that he wants to be at Ole Miss, but because the timeline will force him to stay somewhere. So if you weren't in the playoffs, he's gone. Any other scenario, he's gone. What does that tell you? That tells you he doesn't want to be here long term. The writing is on the wall. And I think that's what he's trying to navigate is like, I got to get up out of here. This is my chance. This doesn't happen again. I'm stuck here. Because the 3 jobs that I am eyeing are going to essentially be locked for the next 3 to 4 years. And who knows what's going to happen to me. The 3 big jobs being Auburn, LSU, and Florida. One of those being the one that I've wanted for a very, very long time. I don't know what's going to happen in 4 years. I can't risk that again. I've already turned down Auburn once. Great decision. Glad I did it. But I've looked at Auburn going, damn, they gave Hugh a ton of money. Shit. I could have done a lot. They gave old Billy a lot of money. I could have done a lot. That's the part that doesn't make sense to me, is we keep pushing the timeline as the caveat of why it wouldn't work, which is a factor. I'm not saying it's not. And the fact that you told me it was a coin flip from Jump Street, but it's the better job, it's where he wants to be, then why is it a coin flip? Why are we even at this point? Ole Miss has run out of rope here, boys. Ole Miss has run out of rope. And I got to be honest with you, as much confidence as I had, and again, the thing that I found intriguing last night from Steven when he talked about how this feels very similar to the Auburn situation. I don't remember the Auburn situation from his side or from Auburn's side. I didn't even pay attention to it, if we're being quite honest with you. That was, we were in our Napier era, where I was learning what the hell I was trying to do. Right? So I don't know what it was like. I do recall him trolling and taking pictures of the bad areas. And when he said that, again, me being the tea leaf reader that we are, you know how we are. We're like the Gossip Girls 2.0 over here, okay? We're trying to figure out anything and everything, right? When he told me that he made fun of Ole Miss last time and trolled Ole Miss and then stayed, I was like, well, now he's not trolling you guys. Now he's being nice. And it's like the girlfriend in elementary school that picked on you. Mommy, she keeps picking on me. Sounds because she thinks you're cute. Because she likes you. We're getting picked on. That's all I can think about, That's the only way how I view this. He's picking on us in the playground. His current girlfriend, he's just not hanging out with anymore. So, shout out to, again, Ben Garrett from the Ole Miss site there. We got some super chats. Allie Peak will be joining us here momentarily. $10 started a fund for Mason, Stephen Willis, to get a subscription to BetterHelp after the Lane Train comes to the station. Yeah, what I am bummed about is that they'll go into hiding. Yeah, I can't go into hiding. Like, that's the thing is, like, I'm like, people think, oh, you're gonna have egg on your face. Like, I'm 10 toes down, brother. Like, you can't really put egg on my face when I'm here every single day. Like, it just, at this point, like, we've had so many low moments on this show. Like, this is it. What do you think, Shelton? Done deal? We doing a Q&A here now? What I think and what I know are two different things, Junior. What I think and what I know are two different things. And by done deal, what do you mean by that? Do we mean pen to paper? Do we mean blood brothers? Do we mean Snapchat agreement? Like, what do we mean? Because I don't. If a pen was assigned a piece of paper, I just don't see how that thing would keep hush. If you know what if you're picking up what I'm putting down. Now, I will say this. I heard some news yesterday. And I told my people I didn't want to know, but then I sit around and I want to know. I had a conversation yesterday, and this person again conveyed very much confidence in how things were moving. And I've been in this world now for a while, and when this person comes and tells me something, I go, okay, if it's legit, if there's some smoke behind this is too big to not hit the stratosphere. Like, if you're telling me, like, it's like, hey, don't say anything. Yeah, I know. But if you're telling me someone else is doing the same thing, and that's how gossip spreads. I know how this world works, okay? Listen, I'm a locked vault, all right? But I do know how these things work. So when it got to me, I was like, now let's wait and see. I would like to say, I'm not on the front lines, but I would say I'm in maybe like, tier 3 of this. I was like, I usually hear stuff early, and then it hits the timeline. I would like to argue that I was a little farther than normal, so I appreciate the heads up, boys. So when I'm sitting there, right, we get the news, and then of course the timeline responds accordingly today. like how I thought it would. Like I was like, the stuff that I heard, if it's what I'm hearing, you just can't keep it down anymore. Because again, why it's moving the way that it's moving is the confidence is just through the roof. And nothing. When you got hubris and you've got cockiness and you've got Florida Gators mixed all in one, ain't nobody keeping shut. Ain't nobody keeping that thing hush hush. And again, I still think maybe just the exact details of it is probably doing a great job of keeping it hush hush. But I think that's where we're seeing the Ole Miss people, the insiders, starting to kind of crumble a little bit because things are starting to fall into place. Things are starting to fall into line. And I sit here and I say this, and I think that just like the Ole Miss fans are and how they felt probably yesterday and how they feel today, they could probably feel different tomorrow. But the one thing that I would argue for myself, and again, I want to, I mean, it's not going to matter, but preface that like this is a very fluid world from what I can gather. But the one thing that I will say is that the lines of people that I have talked to, the different people, not correlated, the messages have been the same. And that's a lot to me. That's a lot to me. Well, Megan, my guy, Sheldon, do you know where Lake Santa Fe is? Meyer had a place out there. My parents lived there, and a very prominent realtor showed a house to someone from Oxford today. Megan's a Georgia guy here. I don't know where Lake Santa Fe is. I'll Google it real quick. In relation to Gainesville. Okay. I could see why someone would live out in that area if you work in Gainesville. About what, 30-minute drive? Megan. So I drive around. So actually, I drive probably around Lake Santa Fe. Close to it. No, I think I drive through Keystone Heights sometimes. Oh, no. No, I don't drive by it. No. I drive through Hawthorne. That's where I drive. So no, I've never seen Lake Santa Fe. The lake I drive by is Newman Lake. That's the lake I was thinking of. Yeah, it's not far at all. Not far. I see where it is. Yeah, no, I drive by it from my house. I mean, I go around it, if you will. So I know I'm familiar with that area because I drive through it. Beautiful area. Interesting stuff there. Check super chats here. We've got $5. Blow the whistle again for Morgan. She love that ish. So I gotta be honest with you boys. I am working to try to sell these whistles, and I don't know how we're gonna make it happen because the logistics of it's a little bit of a doozy. But man, we're working on some merch. I'll tell you that. $2 from Zero. Do you think we'll know something by the end of November? You know, I think we know what Dan and Dave, they gave us the date of December, like December 20th. I think with how things are right now, I don't see it. I don't see it making it that far. I don't. I just don't. 3D printer. Good idea. So, yeah, Newman's Lake. Is that what it is? Yeah, that's where I drive by. That's a real thing. I drive through Palaca, and they're yelling at me. The whistle will sell out. I know. It's about getting them made, created, and then shipped off. Like, it's just a process, which I think it's worth the process. But I've got to figure it out. I've got to figure it out for the people at this point. There's 700 people in here, guys. It would mean the world to me if you're not subscribed. I'd assume a lot of you probably already are, which I thank you and I appreciate you. But we are literally on the road to 30,000. We're trying to get there with every bone in our body. So all the help could help us get there. But yeah, look, I hate that. And the reason I hate this is because I love doing it for recruiting. You guys follow me from a recruiting standpoint. This feels the same way as recruiting when it comes to the noise, when it comes to how I'm feeling. And I even say in recruiting, I don't like to know either because I like to be surprised. The difference is the impact this decision is monumental. it has nowhere near the same amount as when we get commits. Now, I do remember when DJ Lagway was set to commit, that was one that I was doing the same thing. Because remember, there was a ton of noise that people were coming in and trying to get DJ Lagway. That Texas A&M was making moves, USC was making moves, and I was talking to people trying to figure out what they were hearing, and those people were informing me very confidently that it's fine, and I felt very uneasy because you saw how the other fan bases were acting. And that was where we all know how that ended up. So this is much different. I can't pump the horn or I'm pumping the choo-choo train right now, but I understand the magnitude of this one. I mean, I honestly, I think I understand it, but I don't know if I truly understand it. I think that what this thing could do if it were to come true, and again, you hear a lot of things, man, and how it's being navigated and what they're trying to do to make this thing work. If all of it lines up to be true of how they want to navigate this, like, again, because I've said this, like, you can make this thing work. You put people into place, like, you make the announcement, it is what it is, and outside of the Ole Miss fans being pissed off, like Steven said last night, I don't think the players would be mad. I think there'd be a few, but I think Lane gave me a lot of confidence when on the presser he talked about the kind of where the players feel. He's like, they get coaches every Sunday calls from coaches every Sunday about wanting to come play for them. They understand the world now. And they also understand that if they wanted to, they could leave. A lot of these guys on his team were in the portal. A lot of these guys who last year didn't play for Ole Miss knows how Lane navigated outside of the portal window, how he tampered, because he did. Everybody does. So they know how Lane navigated that and how Lane landed them. They know Lane better than us. And I don't think they'd be upset with it because that's what got them there. Lane gave them an opportunity they didn't have. And what I find ironic, too, when I think about reading that quote about how he's lazy, how Steven was amping him up yesterday about how his talent acquisition and his ability to evaluate talent is through the roof, right? It's just the irony of balancing back. I'm glad he gave us that kind of the hype speech of how great Lane was, because obviously I'm sure the narrative will flip if things don't go their direction. But as for, again, the timeline, I figured it out 2 weeks ago. The timeline was never an issue in my opinion. Once I realized that no matter where you go, there's going to be sticky parts to this, it's never been an issue. Now, as for them not letting Lane coach, I didn't take that into consideration. I think that would be ignorant. I just don't see a team full of guys on a playoff run quitting. I really don't. Because of just the new day and age. You think Trinidad, who was a nobody, who has an opportunity to now make a name for himself and get an invite to the NFL Combine, where just a year ago you didn't even know who Trinidad was, is gonna quit because his coach in 3 months from now, where he's not gonna be anyways, isn't gonna be coaching there anymore? No. It's no different than when Jim Harbaugh left Michigan to go to the pros. Harbaugh was already shopping. The conversations were already happening. Nobody faltered on that team. They won a national championship. If you think that team was under the know of he was coming back another year, you're out of your mind. The reason I know this is because of how smooth the transition was. 1, 2, they didn't lose anybody. Nothing stopped. It was one of the smoothest transitions possible. Now, obviously, they had a guy with Sharon Moore that was able to step in, and Ole Miss feels very confident in their guys that are able to step up and step in and just take right over and lead the thing on its way. Again, that's why I don't feel that they're going to wait until after the playoffs, and why it's never been an issue for me. And you wonder, too, how much Lane believes in this team. That could be the question of, like, you're already quitting on us. But it's business. I have to make these moves. It's constantly evolving. It's constantly evolving. Yeah, agree. If you're in the college football playoff, you're not quitting. You're getting more game tape to land a better deal for yourself. And that's the thing is like, this team can pick up and just go where Lane goes. I mean, if they're really going to be like, it's not like the olden days where you're just trapped there. He could literally like, you could Kurt Singetti this thing, leave James Madison and take his boys with him. I mean, I just don't. I think the fan base and some of these insiders are you're using your emotion, which as you should. You're a fan. You're a fanatic. I don't know how I would react in this situation, to be quite honest with you. If you ask me, Shelton, would you let your coach it out? I don't know. I haven't been there to answer the question, so I don't have to answer it. I really don't know. I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, if I think about it like Todd Golden, we were on a run last year, I'll do that. And I was heard that he was going to take an NBA job. I wouldn't say F you. I mean, it's tough because I know the outcome, but it would either I would win, I would be pissed that he's leaving, or he loses, and I'm like, good riddance. Anyways, you suck. So it would be kind of a win-win. But I wouldn't have instead told Todd to kick rocks. He got me to this point. Like, let's say we were about getting ready to play Texas Tech and head to the Final Four. Like, we haven't been to the Final Four in about a decade. I was like, no, you got us this far, coach. Let's ride it out, baby. Now, obviously, it's a little bit different, but situation for sure. But man, let's see. There is any Ole Miss fans in here? I feel like I don't see anymore. I was trying to go through their message boards here, man, and just get some more reading on where things are headed, on how they're feeling. This guy, this title, Kiffin is a father of two. Oh, this guy, here he goes. His son is a star quarterback in Oxford. His daughter will be a senior next year. Does he uproot them for himself? Sure, he can leave them in Oxford and leave his ex-wife with him. That separation is what he had came to Oxford. Does that mean anything to him? If you believe he loves having family together, we all know that at some level he loves what he has now more than a career change at this point. I mean, you act like his son and daughter wouldn't just transfer to Florida. Like, they're not glued to high school. If you've watched the high school landscape at all, I mean, Dylan Raiola changed schools like 9 times in his 4-year career in high school. Like, nobody gives a damn. You already know who Knox Kiffin is. You don't know Knox Kiffin because of his high school. That's where a school matters. Like, an IMG, what helps you get on the map, that's where your school matters. Knox Kiffin is Knox Kiffin. It's like Arch Manning. It does not matter where you place that kid. He'll be just fine. As for his daughter, take his credits, go get a better degree at UF. Anything else? His wife already lived there. Anything else? I mean, we're grasping for straws here, boys. We're grasping for straws. As a UGA fan, I must ask, what's the Final Four? Fair enough. Yeah, Ole Miss is already, there was a slew of what they were looking for. Guy in the recliner trying to sleep back in the bed. Trying to get in. Trying to get in. Again, I would imagine there's still some concerns and some feelings, but let's see here. $5. Ah, shit. Might as well ditch the iPad and get started a 3D printer fund calling first in line for the whistle. Choot choot. I love it. I love it. I got to figure it out. I really, really do. What it really boiled down to is like it's the production and the shipping. We would lose a bun on every whistle. Like, that was where I was kind of in shambles. I was like, I have to sell these whistles for like $40 to break even. Like, that was the problem. I was like, nobody's gonna buy a $40 whistle. It's not gonna be that much, but that was what I got to figure out. It's the shipping part. Like, I'm willing to buy whistles and the 3D printer one, that might be a move there. Because then it's just an upfront cost and I can just print as many whistles as I want, right? That's kind of the idea behind it. And who knows what I could get. I could get freaky with a 3D printer. I could get some crazy stuff going on. And those things gotten pretty legit. I'm seeing where Allie's at. Thought she was gonna be a little bit sooner. I'm running out of juice here. Let's see. 2 minutes. All right. Allie will be joining us in just about 2 minutes. She can give us her insight on this entire situation. Let's do a couple of questions you guys got for me, a little QA, and then we'll see. Better degree at UF, not remotely true how that is not how college works. I mean, elaborate then. I'll play dumb for a minute. Because a degree, I like, if we want to really get down to the nitty gritty, like I understand how a degree works. Nowadays, to be quite honest with you, a piece of paper is a piece of paper, right? And the difference is gotten much smaller than it has in the past. But when you say the logo carries weight, and you got a Florida stamp on a diploma versus an Ole Miss stamp on a diploma, and you go for a job, one carries more weight. I mean, it's like walking in with a Princeton. I mean, this is an Ivy League school in a sense. Florida is. So if you want to argue what you learn and how you become educated, yeah, I don't necessarily believe that to be true at all. I don't. And I'm not here to discredit anybody's education or anything like that. But I do think that the lines have gotten much closer. But I still do believe that where you go to school, there's a reason why schools charge and have a sense of a presence and are able to carry much more weight because of who they are. Okay, look, this is perfect. The best UF professor I had at UF graduated from UF. So that's exactly what I just said. So I agree with you from that standpoint, from who's teaching you and what you're learning. That was not what I meant by better degree. I simply meant by when you walk into a room, one degree is going to carry more weight for you than the other. And both people can be equally qualified, and one may or may not be smarter than the other. So you cannot start a program at a university earning much of the credits for your degree, then transfer to another program at another university. Okay, I'm not in that world to argue with you on this, but I did go to college, and I know that you can transfer credits, and how they transfer, I think they can be a little finicky. I do know that, but to think that they're just completely washed, I don't think it's that true. Because if she's a junior, let's play this. If she's a junior, she probably only needs a few more credits to graduate with whatever class that she needs. If she's trying to major or minor in something, then maybe it may show a little bit different. Then she just moves down here, takes an online class, and then enrolls for her lawyer class. Like it's not 1915 anymore. Okay, COVID allowed for you to do whatever the hell you want. So we can go toe to toe. I can do it. It's pretty easy. Let's see here. What did I see? Hold on. The chat's moving. Super chat here. Yo, I run small 3D printing farm. Anything for the lane train. What's up, Ivy Mac? A farm? How do I get a hold of you, Ivy Mac? Let's talk. There she is. Let's get boogity. 750 strong. We got Allie Peak joining us here. Now the show has officially started. Allie?
Hi guys, sorry for keep you waiting. Thanks for still hanging out.
Yeah, I was like, we're out of words here. I thought we were gonna be quicker, but all good. You're doing us a solid. So, love the festivities. What are we doing? We got
we're here. I'm not sure if we're doing Thanksgiving back here, if we're doing Christmas. The office is renovated, so we got a whole new background, or being renovated currently. So
for what?
In the dining room, but.
What's it being renovated
all
for?
the things. I'm just trying to step up the game so that I can have a studio that looks more similar to yours.
I love it. Can I get some pictures? Are we like halfway through to get like little teasers?
The walls are navy blue. That's all that's happened so far. But built-ins should be happening in the next few days. So
not Old Miss blue.
No, definitely not Old Miss blue.
Okay. All right. Allie, we've talked a lot about a lot of different things today. I'm sure you've seen the timeline is in complete shambles from one of these fan bases, which yesterday I talked with Locked On Ole Miss, and it was all coming to a head, and it came much faster than I anticipated. What is your take on all of this?
Um, couldn't happen to a nicer fan base. I, I think that Ole Miss people are starting to hear some of the things that a lot of us have heard for weeks at this point. I don't, I don't think there's anything new from the UF front. I think they're just staying the course. Like they want Lane, they think they can get this deal done. There's been some backroom, conversations and shenanigans that have taken place, and if it doesn't happen, I think that at this point that means something fell through. I just think it's been a little bit of a reality check the last day or two for Ole Miss fans, because I don't think that the gap has closed quite as much as they think that it has in terms of what makes both programs inviting, relevant, and where you rank them job wise.
So I think that's a key point that you said there. Like it's people think that there has been movement on the Florida front that has moved. So let's say that this thing was here, right? In the sense of where both fan bases feel.
Yeah.
It may appear that Florida has moved this way closer to positive for Florida, but in reality, it's like, no, it's sinking into these guys that this line hasn't budged, and it doesn't show any signs of budging, and that there's actually some true support there. And it's not just, it's Velvet Ditch, and it's tweet, it's this, it's, oh shit, this is real.
Right. Right. I think that's what it is. And I think a large portion of this, and I know you and I have talked about this both on air and off air, is that I think Ole Miss fans have overestimated that they believe that Lane feels like Oxford is home. And I think they have underestimated that Florida, the state of Florida, was in fact Lane Kiffin's home and his family's home and his wife's family's home. And so, if you're going to name one of these places home for them, it's actually Gainesville.
Do you think DeSantis making snapper season longer played a factor? Do you think that was what put Ole Miss fans over the edge?
I'm sure that's exactly why that happened, right? I mean, anything you can do to contribute to the cause.
Yeah, I think Ron's going to give him his own gold Huntsman card and allow him to do whatever he wants when he gets here. I'm hoping so anyway. Now I texted you earlier today because obviously with the noise that was going on. And I mean I've talked to a bunch of people, and again, although you're saying the line still holds strong and the news still feels the same, do you feel like there is a timeline that puts into place? Because that's what we talked with Steven last night from Locked On Ole Miss, and he feels that if they're winning, no extension or anything is going to be signed, which just doesn't make any sense at all. Neither party can play that fire.
Yeah, I mean, so I think this is a really tricky situation for Florida. I mean, Lane can maintain all he wants that I'm not signing anything until it's over, but to act like that isn't an option, I think is silly. And that's where Ole Miss, fans were at before. And I mean, we can point to things like Signetti, right? You absolutely could go ahead and sign a contract mid-year, and to act like that extension would somehow be a distraction. No, it wouldn't. It would actually put all of the rumors to bed. You're choosing not to do that, and you're choosing not to do that for a reason. And then you're asked questions publicly like, are you considering the Florida job? Are you staying at Ole Miss? And instead of your answer being, hey, Oxford is home, I love this place, we're building something special here, the answer was, I ain't had time to think about that yet. And so that is not a resounding I'm home from Lane Kiffin, and because I think he's not. I think he is at the very least strongly considering this. And I'm sure you've heard a lot of the same stuff I have the last couple of days. I do think there's some movement to solidify a plan for when he comes. I don't know that necessarily is a timeline. I do think a lot of that is based on how Ole Miss is doing in the playoffs. I don't think Kiffin's gonna announce, on the field on Saturday after he beats Florida that, hey guys, I'm joining you. They have not fulfilled the mission. They have more to accomplish and do. And I don't think that he's going to abandon them there, but it does get sticky for both sides as this continues, because do those players stay 100% bought in if they believe that the coach that is coaching them is not being truthful with them? And then Florida, you better be very confident that you are getting him, because your window of opportunity for landing a big name is continuing to close. You're watching people sign extensions. You're going to be watching pretty soon here other names pop for coaching jobs, and your options will be small. And, I said this on my own show earlier. If for some reason Florida misses on Lane Kiffin, I think you could end up with a scenario like we saw at Tennessee, like we saw at Texas A&M, where the fans actually get involved and riot, unless it is a name like a Lincoln Riley or something. There's not many names that exist that are going to pacify the fan base if they somehow drop the ball on Kiffin. And that clock is just consistently ticking in the background. So Florida's gambling right now.
Mm. The appetite needs to be fed from the fan base. And I want to speak on the gambling thing here in a bit, but back towards, again, the appetite being fed. I mean, I am concerned of how this thing is going to crash out. That's what worries me more than anything is the fallout. I was telling Dave, I was like, if this shit doesn't go this way, bro, you're going to lose it. It's like, just because of how much he's been digging and trying to figure out what's going on. I'm like, man, there are a lot of people that are, all in on this and understand the magnitude of what it could do for this organization.
Yeah.
And I would really hope, we talk the way that we're talking, you said gamble, as if like we're just having handshake deals behind the alley, behind checkers. And we go and we have a burger with Lane and Sexton has 3 burgers. That's besides the point. And we go, yeah, that's a great deal. We'll settle this in November. And our boy Strickland just walks away feeling ultra confident that the deal is done. It's like I hope that can't be the case. Like, you got to have a little more ground to this, right?
I would assume at some point specifics have been discussed between representation and Strickland. But until ink is put to paper, you are trusting a handshake. And hoping that things are going to continue to play out the way that you've been told that they're going to. I think that Florida could mitigate some potential disaster by hiring a GM. Jacob LaFrance does not count as a GM. Let's hire a real one that's going to stay on after, the previous regime from Florida has completely moved on. And you can start to solidify this recruiting class a little bit. And if you're bringing Lane, you're going to pick apart Ole Miss's roster, their current roster. He's a wizard in the transfer portal, so not overly concerned there. And you're going to be able to retain, I think, a decent part of your current roster and a decent part of your current committed class, as long as those are people that Kiffin wants. So I hope we don't make any decisions based on what we want this team to look like next year if we're all in on Kiffin. Like, let's not get scared, right? Let's see the process through then. But you could mitigate some potential disasters by at least putting somebody in charge of the ship until Kiffin can come over.
No doubt. Now, and I don't know if you know the answer to this or not, but let's play a little hypothetical. If a paper was signed, would it have to be known? Could it still, there's no way that says hush, right?
So I don't know. I mean, I'm not an attorney, even though I play one on your show sometimes here. I don't know what exactly is considered tampering and could any document actually be signed, or if it would need to just be some like hush hush backroom conversations that take place with Sexton and Strickland. Hey, hypothetically, if Lane would be opening to leaving, would he be opening to leaving for X number of dollars per year for this many years? This is what we're offering. We would potentially offer someone like Lane for their staff and support. But I don't know. I've never been in the room for conversations like that. I do think they have to be careful with tampering stuff.
Yeah, that's true. I guess nobody's firing off DocuSigns in the middle of the season because then you would have a paper trail of when it actually went down. Hypothetical conversations, there's nothing to it. It is kind of ironic to think about that. Like, if Lane were to sign now, obviously these guys are using it as leverage. And if you're the NCAA and you see these guys sign, to be fair, Lane is playing the game the correct way. It's like, well, I don't know what my options are out there because I haven't been able to have any conversations legally, right? I mean, that's legally. He could say that. He goes, I don't know what options are out there. I'm not allowed to have these discussions in the middle of the season. That should be a phenomenal Lane answer. He could probably have, I would say, internal conversations about his extension, but how would he know what the best offer is if he hasn't heard from anybody else?
Right. Which, I mean, that's the same thing you could say for a Signetti or for, a
Yeah.
Brom or anybody else who is in theory either actually put pen to paper or have verbally committed to these extensions. How do you know what number to ask for if you've never been contacted by any of these other programs? Why did you suddenly mid-season decide you needed a contract extension if you didn't know you were a name that these programs were
Yeah,
looking
they're
at?
they're just sitting there at their desk, and Kurt's like, "Oh wow, a contract extension. These numbers look great."
It's a Tuesday, and they
Yeah,
put this on my Tuesday.
I had no
Um,
idea.
yeah. So I mean, all of that is kind of humorous because clearly these things are happening behind closed doors. But I don't think anybody would date any kind of documents. That would not seem like a smart decision to make. And I do think, while I think that this is likely decently close to a done deal. And I do think it would be massive egg on Florida's face if for some reason this doesn't work out. But let's say you're Lane Kiffin and let's say Ole Miss makes a huge playoff run, or let's say they win a national title.
Mm.
If Ole Miss wins a national title, so you have reached the top of the mountain there, and you know that you're secure for the rest of your career if you choose that, and you've proven that you can win a title at a place like Ole Miss, does that give you pause to reconsider, or does that fuel your fire even more and you're like, shoot, if I could do this at Ole Miss, imagine the factory I can create at Florida?
You feel a
I
little
don't
more.
know.
Yeah, you feel more of a release. What I need you to do is contact Buddy and have him drop an article for some news. I know I'd say like drop your sources, so that would be great if you could do that. Um,
Oh,
yeah. um, I had one more question. I just dropped the ball there. Tell them where they can find you before I let you go, though, Allie. Why I think of the question that I had. It was a good one.
you can find me on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. I'm old, so I call it Twitter still, but at Allie_peak, or you can find me on YouTube, a peek inside Gator football.
Man, it was good. I mean, I think it was good, anyways.
So what do you think? I mean, are you convinced that this is
That's what it was. Thank you.
back?
That's exactly what I was going to ask you. Perfect. That's hilarious. So where I feel, I don't know how to feel. Like I said at the beginning of the show, I feel more confident, but there's a weird feeling because of just it's Lane. It's how the whole thing has been operated just feels very weird. And that's what I was going to ask you of like, how do you like outside of kind of being stoic and like, yeah, I feel confident. Like, do you not have this weird pit of like, yeah, this thing could be snatched from underneath us? Like, do you have a feeling? Like, give me a percentage of how you confident you feel.
I would say I think there's a 75% chance that Florida lands Kiffin. I'm pretty confident. I'm not 100% sold on it. I mean, I'm older than you are, so I can remember before Ron Zook, I had a T-shirt about Bob Stoops being Florida's coach. Like that was, Florida was hiring Bob Stoops in their head. That was going to be their head coach. It didn't happen. Florida ended up with Ron Zook. Bill Parcells was another name that was mentioned before Ron Zook was hired. Bob Stoops circled back around before Urban was hired. And I mean, I think they knew exactly who they were going with laser precision, but the rumors will take off regardless. And so like, I have watched Florida fans think they were going to get someone that they haven't many times in the past 25 years. And so that part gives me pause. But I think Lane wants the University of Florida. And I think if he says no this time, there will not be another time. And, when we were hiring Napier, I don't think the timing was necessarily right, even though there were people that would have been really happy with Lane at that moment. I think he has grown and matured and proven a lot since then in the 4 years. And the timing is better now. But this is one and done for him. If he says no to this opportunity, the UF door is probably closed. And that's the part for me that makes me think he will come.
So I said that earlier, and I'm going to kind of elaborate on that more. But do you think that back then, when the Stoops, like that era, the times have changed? I would say from a sources standpoint, and people being knowledgeable of what's happening has evolved tremendously. Yes or no?
No, yes and no. And I'll tell you, I think that the people with credible sources remain the people with credible sources. I think in the time that we live in now, if you saw Strickland at an airport in Oklahoma on a random Tuesday, you didn't have the ability to put it out on social media and tell the world, and now you do.
Yeah.
And then reporters see those things and run them down and are able to verify them so much easier than now. Like if you wanted to report that in, 2002 when Ron Zook was being hired, you were going to find somebody's email address or their phone number, and you were going to call Bunny Barton, and you were going to say, "Hey, I was just in, an airport in Oklahoma, and I happened to see Jeremy Foley here, and I think something's going on." It's so much easier for things that are only a tiny piece of the puzzle to come to the surface now. So back then, if there was a leak, it was because somebody who is in the know and knows something told somebody who didn't keep their mouth closed, and it grew.
Well, and I think that's more I was alluding to. Yes, the people who know. But now, if there is a story or there's something that has to be unturned, the ability for it to move can move very quickly and verified very quickly. Where, like, if the
Think
Bob
about-
Stoops, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
Like the Bob Stoops thing, like that had so much weight to it. If someone else found a rock, the amount of leg lifting they would have to do to overturn that rock would be insurmountable. Where you could literally flip a switch nowadays because of how much things you can gather to push a new story out, if you will, to overcome that previous story. So that was more so what I was talking about, is that you have a lot more push and shove, and so now when it is moving like a freight train in one way, it makes you feel ultra confident because, like, man, I'm sure these guys are doing everything they can to find the alternative, and it's like, we've turned every rock, boss. There's nothing there.
I mean, think about the fact that people are looking at Knox Kiffin's likes on Instagram and X and things like that and using it as like a crumb trail and like, oh my gosh, he liked this tweet about XYZ. Half of the breadcrumbs that people have been following down are Lane's own tweets. That was not anything that existed in the past.
Yeah.
You would be dissecting the once weekly press conference. That, by the way, wasn't streamed, so you had to catch a part of it on the nightly news or maybe ESPN showed a clip of it, or you had a writer, a beat writer who went in person and then transcribed it and then added a clip of it into an article that they posted. Like, it's just not, instead of you and I watching, if we want to, the live stream of the press conference, it's just so different.
The thing you said, I said it earlier, and it's almost, we were kind of worried, I think, at first when the LSU and the Auburn job opened up, because it felt like the pool got a little bit juicier of opportunities. Yeah. But I think in actually it helped us, because like you said, the three outside of Bama, which seems very content with the board and doesn't seem to be going anywhere anytime soon, these would be your three other options if you're Lane Kiffin. Maybe Georgia. I don't know. Let's just, if we wanted to go play in a big pond, but they're not going anywhere anytime soon. So your three best options are available all at once. And like you just said, not out of Florida, they're all going to be swooped back up for another 4 to 5 years. And who knows what's going to happen to you in another 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
So if you ever want to have that chance to fly close to the sun, like we always say, like we said, it's now or never, big guy. Now or never.
Yeah, and I think the stuff with LSU and their governor and their athletic director and the lawsuit now with Brian Kelly, all of that helps Florida's cause, because, you're going to call us dysfunctional and toxic fan base. Like, are you joking? Have you seen what's going on in Baton Rouge? That's not enticing in any way. And as far as Auburn goes, I think Florida is a better job than Auburn. I think LSU is a better job than Auburn. I don't necessarily think you jump from Auburn to one of those two. I don't think the gap is so big that, like, you're viewing it as a stepping stone to another SEC school, but I still don't think it's as good as LSU or Florida. And he turned Auburn down just a couple of years ago. So I do think Florida's the best job on the market. I think Penn State is obviously a completely different type of job. I don't know that they would have any idea what to do with Lane Kiffin up there. He must stay below the Mason-Dixon line. His type of crazy fits in perfect in this conference, his type of brashness. But I think it's now or never. If he doesn't take this job, he's never coaching anywhere else in college. I don't think, unless somehow that Alabama job comes open. But I do, if you're going to look at where there's ties, the only place that you could say he has ties to is Florida.
Sucking me in. You're reeling me in. And not that I don't want to be reeled in. I mean, I love being excited. But I said it earlier. Like, I get fired up for recruits. The fallout from not getting a recruit is nowhere near what this magnitude holds. So yeah.
We've been disappointed, in the last few years. We thought we kind of caught lightning in the bottle with Dan Mullen, and that derailed off the tracks. We went the exact opposite way and hired, Billy Napier, which I think is similar to a McElwain, and that we drank the Kool-Aid. Both of us drank that Kool-Aid on that. And like, Florida needs a win. They're ready they need a Spurrier. They need an Urban. This fan base needs somebody that's sassy and has that killer instincts. Like, Kirby Smart would step on your throat if given the opportunity in a dog pile, and Billy Napier would stick out his hand and help you up. And that is great in like 9 out of 10 scenarios in life. But football is that one scenario that you want the person that steps on your throat. And Florida's ready to have that again.
That's what I kind of talked about too. It's like, man, he's even having these recruits come to Ole Miss, and it's like, would he really kind of bring them along just to spit on them? And it's like, well, if he's gonna choose Florida, then yeah, they're the enemy now. So
right.
I mean, very quickly, within 24 hours, they're the bad guy. So it's like, hey, if I have an opportunity to, I don't know, shit on this program, I appreciate what you've done, but you're not my friend anymore.
To retain these guys that are interested in the program I'm coming to. Multiple of these guys are not guys that had any real interest with Ole Miss until this week. And so the fact that Ole Miss fans in any way have taken this as like, look at that, now we're going to steal their recruits is absolutely like, I can tell why the education ranks last in the state of Mississippi out of all 50 states, because like, what? How is that how you took what's happening right now? No, he's working to retain this class. Now, whether or not he's saying that to these players, that I'm not saying that, but I think it's a good sign for Florida that some of their committed players are going to this game.
I thought the same thing, especially because, again, those guys had no previous connection to it. Now, you could toss it up to where the recruiting staff was like, hey, we could take advantage and try to sell these cats because their team they're committed to is playing. Like, hey, come watch your team, but also let us sell you our opportunity. Yeah, why not? I'm not doing anything this Saturday. Yeah. So I could see it more of just being that in that lane trying to troll, but also maybe an opportunity for them to go see their next head coach. This has been a blast. I always appreciate you hopping on. I know it's kind of last minute, but the news was just too spicy today to not chit-chat about it, and I'm glad we were able to discuss it. Again, the one positive I will say is each time we talk, it seems that, again, the momentum is maintaining, which is very impressive. You've followed Florida football enough to know that momentum is tough for us. We don't do a great job with it. Well, maybe just it was one football side of things. Maybe that's gone now, but we just need to...
I mean, brighter days are ahead, I think, and I'm ready for some sunshine.
If these boys thought the Kool-Aid was bad this summer, I gotta tell you, boys, you're gonna have to install a porta potty in your room because you're gonna be pissing a lot because that Kool-Aid's gonna be running deep. All right, I'm just letting you know we're gonna be live 24/7. All right, talking about all the portal moves. So we'll see. But Allie, we appreciate you. Thank you.
I appreciate you. I'll talk to you soon.
Go Gators.
Go Gators.
Ladies and gents, we got over 800 people in here, which is just phenomenal. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. We're in shambles. All right, we're good. All right, couple super chats here, and then we'll get rocking and rolling. Let me see here. $2 from Dang It Billy. No matter what happens, it's a win-win Saturday. We're back at win-wins. I love it. I love it. We got all R says $2. Lane dislikes Strickland. Strickland will wait till he's out. I don't think there's a wait. RR. Marshall Donahoe for UF next GM. Donahoe. Donna who? You know Lane is sitting on the couch with Juice watching you guys, right? Yo, hey, Lane, Juice, you guys are more than welcome to come on the show. All right. Honestly, if you don't choose to come to Florida, we'll still have you on the show. It'd be a great time. $5, God smile on the gates. We're getting closer. $5, Shelton, break out the astronaut suit for the announcement show. Jeremy. I'm disappointed in you. You know damn good and well when Lane Trade arrives in Lanesville, I'm not wearing an astronaut suit. Okay. I will be your new and improved conductor of this train, boys. All right. The astronaut suit is no more. We are a train company now. We are CSX. All right. We are HSX. I don't know what the X stands for, but we're High Top Sports X. Okay. All aboard. All right. Should have forgot that. I love Alia. Awesome. LOL. Sorry, I missed Junior. She's gone now. Well, boogity, right? Another day. More news. Saturday should be a blast. Our watch party should be an absolute hit. 7 p.m. kickoff time. We will be there. You will be there. I think you'll be there. The Collins show should be electric, especially when Florida rails them. Florida's a new railroad commission. Yeah. Hey. All aboard, baby. All aboard.
Hot Top Sports where the takes don't miss. The prof with the stats, the champ with the fist. Water bringing fire, cowboy, tie riding bold. Bulls call the best.